Alright, let's talk about PUIG brands. I like this stock. I will talk a little bit around why, and I will also talk about the warning sign that I see that investors should keep a lookout, because it's coming now in Q4, so stay alert on that one. We can see that PUIG brands has recently been introduced to the stock exchange here. In this case, they have traded downwards. So we've seen some loss of capital. If we take a look at the all-time chart, down by quite a lot. In terms of market cap, they are slightly below 8 billion in total as I'm recording this video. But what do you get for that market cap? Roughly 8 billion. What does it buy you? Well, we can take a look at some of the revenue numbers and some of the profitability numbers in this case. It shows, the quarterly here doesn't show properly. There's some data issues in this case in Yahoo Finance. And I've looked at the earnings reports as well, and it's a small company, it does not have a lot of attention. In fact, it can't be bought on, for example, Revolut, on the trading platform, the trading side of that. I could buy it on my private banking account, but just the lack of it being possible to buy this company from certain financial vendors means that it will be less buying pressure overall from retail, and that could be an advantage if eventually the stocks get listed more, gets included in more trading platforms, but Spanish company here in this case. We see revenue, for example, here up until now and for 2024. We can see here roughly 5 billion. And it was just below 8 billion in total market cap. So this is in euros here. Wow, that's a good price to sales. It must be terrible margins. Yeah, that's the logical conclusion here. But then we look and we see cost of revenue, 1.2 billion here up until now. And a gross profit here, just purely from the sale of the products, 3.6 billion. Man, these are good numbers, for a cheap company. And what are you buying here? Well, I had to take a look. I'm not that much into fashion. In fact, I will walk around in little shorts and little shoes. I don't care. So this was a little bit more difficult to look into and try to understand. So please let me know if you recognize these brands in the comment section below. Personally, I recognize Charlotte Tilbury from the airports and look into what they're selling exactly, but it seems to be some kind of makeup. And then Jean Paul Gaultier, I just recognize the brand from the American Psycho movie. I've seen that one quite a few times, and the overnight bag that Bateman has the dead body in is from this one. Rabanne, I think I've seen an ad for, but yeah, not great with brands. However, I have some insights with regards to this type of business as well, because it reminds me a lot of Estée Lauder earlier, before the recovery, this company, interestingly enough. But some strong brands, some brands that I recognize and have seen before. And this gives good margins. This explains the margins. This is why I looked into it. You can sell a product a lot more expensive with brands like this. And we will see in the earnings presentation as well, especially for Charlotte Tilbury here, a presentation style that I like a lot. So we're seeing good profit margins just in terms of gross profit. And even after operating expenses, having all of these expensive stores that we see in the airport, for example, employees, they have good operating income. And it's increasing. So why is this stock so cheap? Basic earnings per share, looking great. We've seen some dilution here in the amount of shares outstanding. So this is very likely a acquisition. It is in most cases for this type of company. Haven't looked into exactly what was acquired here in between 2023 and 2024, but most likely an acquisition. That's the story that this is telling. Could be stock split as well, one of the two. But all in all, quite solid numbers. I mean, just looking at the revenue here, almost 5 billion here now, up until date, for less than 8 billion in market cap, the total purchase price, margins being good, company is growing. Seems to be a gem. Seems to be a gem in my opinion. So I looked a little bit at some of the red flags as well, and we can see those in the balance sheet in terms of inventory buildup on the asset side. We could see in the earnings report talk about this specifically for the first half of 2025, where management claimed that it was a tradition that they build up more inventory in the first half and then they sell this now in the second half. From an investor perspective, I don't think that I've seen enough track record to really be confident in that statement. So that's a bit of a risk to this stock, and that's something for investors to look out for, is the inventory buildup of these assets that they keep on increasing. We've seen, this is the inventory, so building up, increasing over time. This is not good. We want to see products get sold. This has been a problem for example, H&M. So this is one red flag for investors to look out for. We want to see inventory decrease in the next quarterly earnings. We want to see goods and products getting sold and not sitting on the shelf, basically. So a little red flag to take a look at, but no, pretty strong margins, good performance, good growth. And I think that this is likely to increase. If we take a look at the road ahead, for example, this La Bomba, I don't know what this is, and Carolina Herrera, perhaps it's a singer or something like this. Not really sure, but celebrity endorsements, always a good thing. And then just take a look at this Charlotte Tilbury here to launch in the Amazon in the United States here in Q3. This type of presentation, we know this works. We saw a social experiment where they tried to sell discount shoes at premium prices in a nice looking store, and it worked perfectly. So presentation like this really helps to sell products, overpriced products. You can sell it expensively. So this works. This will for sure drive growth. So the road ahead is looking fine. With the size that they have now, I don't think they're gonna have any problems driving sales, increasing sales. It's only going to be more of an issue once they grow larger. This is a tiny company. This is, not even 8 billion as I'm recording this video. They do have a dividend as well, paying out 2.68% based on historical data, in this case 0.09. I think that this is likely to increase going forward once growth goes down a bit, but just a small dividend, just like competitors, just like, for example, Estée Lauder, dividend in the low single digits. So you get paid a bit while you wait, while you hold a stock like this, and that's always nice to see. And price in terms of value, I think, is quite cheap now for this PUIG brands. So we're entering the fourth quarter. This is the fourth quarter. This is the important quarter for PUIG brands in terms of selling off that inventory. I remember from working at Google that we saw a lot of ad spend in the fourth quarter from retailers. We have important holiday season where a lot of consumer discretionary spending is happening, you know, for example, around Christmas, in the sale between Christmas and New Year. And we have the Cyber Monday, Black Monday, these kind of things. That's just popping off, you know, Black Friday sale, Cyber Monday sale, that's the name of it. And that's really going to help retailers like PUIG brands unload inventory here, hopefully for shareholders. So this is an interesting company, I like it. The judgment is that I think it has the potential to outperform the broader market in the midterm. I think it's very much poised for a recovery if they manage to sell off this inventory buildup that we've seen. They have some strong brands. Even I, as a person who's totally not interested in fashion, actually recognized a few of these. Charlotte Tilbury and the Jean Paul Gaultier. So that means that they likely have some sway here in the fashion world. I think this stock is good for people who are more into fashion and can make a better judgment regarding the strength of the brands. If these are something that can carry sales and protect margins going forward, that's a big one. Or if they are declining brands that are going down in popularity and people are not buying them anymore. Some brands take that route, but they seem to be diversified. So if you're into fashion, then you can make a very, very good judgment on a company like this. And if you are right, you are likely to be rewarded nicely, handsomely. Small company, big risk, big reward. That's been it covering PUIG brands here. And as always, hope you guys make a ton of money, whatever investments you decide to make. Take care now. Bye bye.